Dig it.
Slow drag with Remedy. Ballyhoo and welcome. The Passion Project continues. My name is Remedy Riot, and this is an appreciation. This is an exploration of linguistics, language, and how life imitates art, as framed by the peerless poetry of the modern day master, Elvis Costello. Today's slow drag is with Just About Glad from Brutal Youth, released in 1993. The songwriting is credited to Elvis Costello's birth name. With its wonderfully grown up yet incredibly childish bent to it, the awkwardly intimate Just About Glad feels as if it possesses many of the same loose themes set forth throughout the entire album, mature in its narrator's understanding, yet with decidedly immature phraseology. This is not so much a double entendre as a hinted at meaning, which isn't the same thing, or is it? That's just the main thesis, of course. As with every piece from our beloved entertainer, the linguistics throughout this one remains polished and mischievous. And while I've happily taken requests for particular slow drags, I've yet to send out a dedication. Let's remedy that with a hearty, "This goes out to you, my old friend Joop" dedication. You are a dear friend who taught me well, my funny little Dutch fellow, but yeah, it was never gonna happen. I'm just about glad that I knew you once, and it was more than just a passing acquaintance. I'm just about glad that it was a memory that doesn't need constant maintenance. There are a few things that I regret, but nothing that I need to forget. For all of the courage that we never had, I'm just about glad. Laid down in a journeyman's deliberate AA, BB, CC, DD rhyme scheme, with the first two rhyming pairs seductively slanted, once an acquaintance and memory and maintenance. This first verse runs the risk of staring at its own shoes as it finds the right words to confess the edges of feelings with the repetition of "I'm just about glad" recited 3 times in 8 lines. In direct opposition to Mr. Costello's penchant for sidestepping qualification and irony, this piece begins with a personal pronoun, in this case, the contraction I'm, but only up to a point. Having a memory that doesn't need constant maintenance, one that doesn't have to be squinted at, revised, or massaged, sounds so grown up, with the word regret helping to elevate and lower the tone of the piece all at once. The complex word courage starts in one direction before it folds back in on itself into a wonderful sort of double negative feeling. Just about glad we didn't do that thing. Just about glad we didn't have that fling. Just about glad we didn't give it a try. Just about glad. Is that a tear in your eye? This chorus, with its lovely AABB rhyme scheme and repeated mantra, might find our narrator getting a little too intimate, backing off a bit as each of the 4 lines beginning with the distancing word just, leaving out I'm entirely. The question at the end, "Is that a tear in your eye?" sounds to me like wishful thinking, stoking the mature immature dichotomy. It's as if the narrator gets distracted when reciting what he's just about glad about, checking in with the object of his desire, putting sincerity in jeopardy. And on the few times I rang to propose, there was a man there, or so I suppose, the greatest lover that you never had. I'm just about glad. The hedging continues in the staggering AABB second verse. Propose is such a delightfully crass word in this context, a seemingly lofty notion filled with the suggestion of a lifetime commitment, when in reality it could merely be referencing, to coin a phrase, one night of glory, spoiling the moment with trepidation. Along with the hedging, childish assumptions also run rampant through these four lines. I'm tickled by the quick backpedal when stating there was a man there, which sounds as if it's stating a fact, yet needing to avoid sounding like a stalker with, or so I suppose. Note the elided personal pronoun upon blurting the greatest lover that you never had. It is brilliant in its insincere boasting, as it's difficult, if not impossible, to prove a negative, or for that matter, prove the narrator is even referring to himself. Beautiful hedging. Lost for words and confidence, it seems, the narrator falls back on the emotional avoidance mantra of I'm just about glad, without qualifying which of what he'd just spoken was he actually glad about. They called time and vodka and lime in some far flung Canadian club. Just about glad. And there I was, just waiting to fall, like a toe just aching to stub. I tried to use the American pronunciation of vodka, but it just didn't sound right. So each verse in this piece so far has hinted at much more than what is being said. It's grown up, mischievous, and childish all at the same time. I love how a double meaning has now been inserted for no other reason than, well, it's just fun, with Canadian Club standing in for a place and augmenting the willing self destruction wrought by a night of merriment, tossing them back in a drinking club. Clearly, I love poetry, yet I've never been too keen on the seemingly inherent pretense poets themselves place on the words they string together in a pleasing sounding way. So when the modern day master himself, our beloved entertainer, proclaims, and there I was, just waiting to fall, like a toad just aching to stub, I'm tempted to squee with delight. It puts me in mind of the ludicrous comparison in White Knuckles from Trust when he needs her like the axe needs the turkey. Conceivably, it's just a man sitting on a stool, getting drunk and getting numb, looking for perverse pain in order to feel something, which of course continues to bolster my supposition of Mr. Costello's brilliant use of word economy. This verse conveys so much more than what is being said. Just about glad. Later on, I could never accept it when you finally gave it all to him. Just about glad. And you said that my nurse was sweet, but her lamp was just beginning to dim. Thus far in this slow drag, I've ventured into making a few assumptions, a few interpretations in order to point out the awkward maturity and immaturity that tries to fuse together while it feels like two magnets repelling each other. It all sort of makes sense. Now, however, we've come to another calling card, a confounding statement that defies explanation with, and you said that my nurse was sweet, but her lamp was just beginning to dim. Is this turn of phrase, this string of words set down in a pleasing manner that keeps Mr. Costello's words alive? Do you have any notion of what this means? Exactly. It's just a joy to conjure whatever image you so desire. I'm just about glad that we never did that thing that we were going to do. I'm just about glad I can look you in the eye, but I can't say the same for you. And though the passion still flutters and flickers, it never got into our knickers. For all of the courage that we never had, I'm just about, I'm just about, I'm just about, I am just about. With confidence bubbling up with a hint of belligerence. Our narrator has gone through quite the ordeal so far in this piece. The personal pronoun has returned with a declaration that sets the narrator apart, possibly above, while basically insulting and or speaking for the object of his desire. The words feel direct, yet there's still a beautiful hedge. It's still trying to prove a negative. The syntax of joining verbs with the word and is a device Mr. Costello uses often, creating a spectacular phonetic pairing. In this instance, the passion that flutters and flickers is reminiscent of Momofuku's Flutter and Wow and To Flutter and Flatter from the Coward Brothers like licorice. And, not for nothing, thank goodness for British English. Can you imagine, instead of knickers, trying to rhyme the word underwear? And it's all just a stupid creation of my feverish imagination. If I'm the greatest lover that you've never had, I'm just about. I'm just about. I'm just about. I'm just about. This self flagellation comes out of nowhere and is basically hilarious, mitigating and reframing the amorphous, the greatest lover with if throws the entire narrative into ludicrous chaos. If he's the greatest lover, then he's just about glad? Say what? It's staggering how one little preposition can destabilize the meaning entirely. Repeating just about glad after this moment of what could be considered anguish is equivalent to a verbal loss for words. The narrator cannot or will not finish the sentence of what he's glad about, sometimes eliding the personal pronoun for self protection. Yet as we go on, we don't have any sort of qualifier, just a fractured, broken record, perhaps. The piece ends with another verbal loss of words, this time in what I think is a calculated projection, a twisted hope that we can drop the pretense of being okay with unrequited affection whilst flailing, repeatedly asking after the chorus, "Is that a tear in your eye?"
Dig it.
Again, this has been a slow drag with Just About Glad from 1993's Brutal Youth. What a remarkable piece from a poet with a blazing sense of humor, dry and otherwise, one with a healthy dose of self-deprecation, a keen smattering of self-awareness, and, sure, why not, a bit of guilt and revenge. It's the tear in the eye that catches me up short, the hope that someone pines for them as well. There is such power in Mr. Costello's word economy. He knows exactly what not to say. As the brilliant man himself once said, "It's the words we don't say that scare me so." Just About Glad is a stunning minefield of bravado, fear, delusion, and perverse hope. As always, this sexy slow drag has revealed so much that might have been passed over in casual listening, in particular the word if. Having never noticed it before, it sent a pleasant little jolt of electricity through my limbs when I finally heard it. Passion project indeed. Thus, bringing a close to the dedication to my long-lost friend Yop. If I ever see him again, I'll be sure to give him a hearty handshake. Other gems from Brutal Youth you'll enjoy a slow drag with are episode 8, The Word She Wanted. That's a slow drag with 20% amnesia. Episode 26, Before You Start to Cry. That's a slow drag with the beautiful You Tripped at Every Step. Episode 45, The Gallery of Attempted People. That's a slow drag with the prophetic science fiction twin. Episode 69, Fashion Fingernails. That's a slow drag with 13 steps lead down. Episode 93, The Humble and the Mighty. That's a slow drag with Clown Strike. And episode 96, It's Darker Than You Think. That's a slow drag with All the Rage. And that's it for today's Slow Drag, my fellow Elvis Costello aficionado. Thank you for listening. I'll be back soon with another Slow Drag. So, until next time, adieu, my little ballyhoo. Slow Drag.